What's up guys, it's Alex from Maximum Charge. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are on the Aventon Adventure 2. This bike has been around for a while now. I think maybe a year and a half. We have the smaller frame step-through version of this bike, and I specifically wanted that version. I'll tell you why in a second. But this is a strict Class 3 e-bike. It does come as a Class 2 e-bike, but you can unlock it to Class 3 with the app. So a top speed of 28 miles an hour while pedaling only. And in today's video, we're gonna bring it through most of our usual tests. The hill climb test, the 0 to 20 test, the steep hill climb test, the braking test, to see if this is still a bike worth buying in 2025, because there have been a lot of new bikes released since this bike came out. And we'll talk about if this bike still holds up to the competition. And I will have this bike listed in the description below. The prices of these e-bikes are always changing. Sometimes they're on sale. So to get the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below. And I will also list any available coupon codes or discount codes down there as well. And towards the end of the video, I'm gonna give you 3 big reasons as to why, in my opinion, this bike might still be a great option in 2025. We're gonna start off our test with the 0 to 20 test. So we are at the usual sewer grate. We're on turbo mode, which is the highest pedal assist level. I know the motor does cut me off at just before 20 miles an hour, so we'll kind of guess as to where 20 will end up being. If I feel that it cuts me off at like 19 or 19 and a half or somewhere on there. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, boom. Nice, easy start to the test. No jarring acceleration. There it is, there's 20. And normally, either before or after that test, I usually pull out my phone with the GPS speedometer on it to show you that the speedometer is accurate. But funny enough, I did that yesterday. I actually tried to do this review ride yesterday. Looks like we're doing okay. Maybe off by about a mile. Actually, we are right on the money. Wow. And it seems like today another test we're going to be doing is the water resistance test on this bike, because as you could tell, it is raining right now. And it was raining a little bit harder than I thought it was. It was on the warmer side for winter New England. It was warmer at least. It was about 40 degrees. And I ended up looking at the footage and it was totally covered in water. The lens got water on it and it just looked like trash. So we're gonna redo a lot of that review ride today. Let's head on over to our long hill climb tests. Right now it's a little bit colder than yesterday, about 30 degrees, so I am bundled up like crazy. And with that being said, let's turn on our handy dandy gloves, motorcycle gloves. Link in the description below. Here we go, long hill climb test, throttle only, 3, 2, 1, boom. Oh, very slow start. Let's see how this does. And if you guys like content like this, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if I have earned your subscription. Like the video if you like it, smash the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. And if you don't like this video, tell me why in the comments. Tell me why you're mad. Tell me what you think of this Aventon Adventure 2. Here we go, 19 miles an hour, almost at the finish line, and that's time. All right, and we are not going to be doing the free spinning wheel speedometer test. We're also not going to be doing the downhill top speed test, because we know that this motor cuts us out at just about 28 miles an hour. But if I pedal hard down this hill, we can get to pedaling, we can get to about 33 miles an hour. The motor did cut me off at 28, so the rest is just gravity assisted speed. Fun fact, I can get this bike to 120 miles an hour with a steep enough hill. Riding around on the sidewalk, you can definitely tell that this is a hardtail bike. Oh, a lot of ice over here, gotta be careful. However, that does make for a nice lightweight bike. This bike is actually advertised to be just about 80 pounds, which is pretty light for a fat tire e-bike. Test the front fork going up this curb. Not bad. If you had a suspension seat post on this bike, which by the way, there's plenty of clearance for with a smaller frame, might not be a bad addition for this bike. Handlebar width test, not too narrow, not too wide, just right. Headed over to our steep hill climb test, but first we must come to a complete stop at the stop sign. Safety first. I got you, commenters. You know who you are. All right, steep hill climb test. Throttle only. Stop it at the line. 3, 2, 1, go. See how we do. This is a 48 volt system, and I think the power peaks at somewhere over 1100 watts, somewhere on there. I'll leave the number on the screen for you guys. Ooh, we are struggling. 5 miles an hour. Oh my goodness. I'm struggling to stay upright. 4 miles an hour. It's still going, still moving. Don't do this, guys. This is not good for the motor. That motor I know is heating up right now just doing this as we're putting power into a barely spinning motor. Thankful that it is cold outside, and we did it actually. I think that was the slowest speed I've ever gotten on a successful steep hill climb test. Hey, at least it did it. A lot of bikes that I've tested that are 48 volts that are the same power level of this cannot do that test. We're gonna roll on down to our brake test, a 20 mile an hour brake test. Ready and brake. All right. That's a nice short braking distance. Look at that. That's pretty good. And check it out, look how nimble this bike is. I can turn this wheel 90 degrees if I want to and turn literally in one spot on a dime. Pretty good brakes, Textro dual piston brakes. Brand name brakes usually work better than the no name stuff. And this is a lighter bike, so there's not a lot of mass to stop with the brakes, so that's good. Before we continue with the review ride and before I let you guys know about the 3 biggest reasons to get this bike, we're gonna head back into the MCHQ and talk about the specs and components of this bike. See you guys in a bit. All right guys, let's take a look at the specs and components of the Aventon Adventure 2 step-through edition with the regular sized frame. Let's start at the top. At the top we have round locking handlebar grips. These are very rubbery feeling, and I do like that there's an end cap back here so you can easily pop this out and install a bar end mirror if that's something you want to do. We've got Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers, left hand side thumb throttle, simple minimalist control panel. And if you notice, if I try and turn this bike on, I'm holding the power button, it is not turning on. That's because you have to first press this blue button because the battery is in hibernation mode right now, and that's gonna save battery while the bike is sitting, not being used. So we tap that, battery is green, and now we hold the power button down and the bike will turn on. Oh, and by the way, the display also has a USB port underneath. On your display, you have 5 levels of pedal assist. First, we have 0, so it says off, eco, touring, sport mode, and turbo mode. You get your battery percentage bar, speedometer, odometer, average speed, max speed. Got some other interesting stats over here that I probably wouldn't look at. Trees saved and CO2 reduced. And then we're back to the odometer. And if you do hold the plus and minus buttons, you can get into some basic settings where you can clear your trip distance, set the screen brightness, change the units from kilometers an hour to miles an hour. Got some system info, and then here you can connect to the app where you download the Aventon app, you scan this QR code, and you can pair the bike to your app. And to unlock this bike to class 3, you will need the app. We'll go over the app functions in a moment. On the right hand side, we have an 8-speed Shimano trigger shifter. Oh, and by the way, this bike does have turn signals, so if you press the left button, it shows you that your left turn signal is on, which is gonna light up back here, and this is fairly bright. And speaking of lights, at the top of the handlebar, you've got this single light up here, small but mighty. This is pretty bright. And turning that light on will turn on these 2 rear lights in the back, which do act as brake lights. They do get brighter when you touch the brake lever. And of course that bottom part does light up for your turn signal. And here's what the brake lights look like when you don't have the lights on. Moving on down, we've got some nice looking cable management that goes into the frame. Very cool looking Aventon stainless steel logo up front. And for a fork, you have a budget 80mm travel front fork with a basic preload and lockout adjustment. This bike comes with a metal fender in the front and a metal fender in the rear. And these fenders are very solidly mounted onto the bike itself, so they are not going anywhere. And for tires, we have 26 by 4-inch knobbies coming out of Innova Tire, and these are on the quieter side. I do also like how the tread pattern looks. They're aggressive, but they are okay on the road as well. For brakes, we get 180mm Tektro rotors in the front with dual piston Tektro calipers. Same exact setup in the back. This bike comes with two of these kind of yellow lime green keys. Let's go ahead and use the key to take out the battery. And here's the label on the battery. It looks like it is a 678 watt-hour battery. I believe they advertised that it's a 15 amp hour battery. And as you can tell at the bottom, it says it is UL 2271 compliant. And on the battery itself, you get this Aventon branded charge port cover. This is great for waterproofing, and it did come in handy on my rainy ride. And to put the battery back, you simply seat the bottom in place, and the top clicks in, and you are good to go. For a charger, this battery comes with a 3 amp charger, which is totally fine for the 15 amp hour battery that this bike comes with. You can get this bike in the step over version and obviously the step through version, and both of those come in 2 different sizes. And of course you can get a bunch of different colors with this bike. Personally, I liked this blue color, so that's what I went with. Up top, you've got a place to mount a water bottle holder, and I have seen people mount a secondary additional battery up here on other bikes, so if that's something you want to do, this will be a pretty good spot. Although it would use up some of your step-through real estate right here. On the frame, we've got our frame size label, R for regular, and then as you can tell, it says Class 2, 750 watt, 20 mile an hour e-bike, which is what this bike is shipped out as, but again, as I mentioned earlier, you can unlock this to Class 3 if that's something you want to do. And guys, check this out. So I did pull the seat up a bit, but this seat can go insanely low. Let's actually measure that right now. Look at this, guys. So the minimum seat height is just about 30 inches. That is very low for an e-bike. So let's say you get this regular sized frame instead of the large frame. Even though this bike is on the smaller side for you, what you could do is easily add something like this, a suspension seat post, which will add just enough height so you can comfortably extend your legs while riding this bike and also have a little bit more comfort in your ride. And this bike also does come with a torque sensor. I know many of you guys love your torque sensors, and this is gonna make for a great feeling pedaling experience. It'll feel like a normal bicycle. I've never seen this type of rear rack on any other e-bike before. It does feel extra solid. It looks like it has great build quality, thick crossbars over here, some adjustability right here, and it is rated to hold a max of about 55 pounds. And for a motor, you get an Aventon branded 750 watt nominal geared hub motor, and I'll put up on the screen what the peak power is of this motor. And we also get an 8-speed transmission with a Shimano Altus derailleur and a derailleur guard. This, by the way, is a Shimano Hyperglide cassette CHHG 208, and it is nice and clicky. And up front, you get a medium to large sized chain ring, and due to the large size of this chain ring, you will not be ghost pedaling. I did test this out on my first rainy ride, and I always had pedal resistance, even up to 28 miles an hour. But right now I'm pedaling, I get plenty of pedal resistance. Look at that, I get a lot of pedal resistance, and we're easily just going 31 miles an hour down this hill. Let's take a look at the functions of this app. So when you go into the app, you can turn your light on, you can turn it off. Here we've got how much battery we have, change your pedal assist levels, some more info on your riding stats. If you click maintenance, you have reminders on how many days you have left till you have to check these areas out on your bike. If you go into more settings, you can change the bike name, adjust the screen brightness, adjust how long your bike will stay on if you're not using it. Speed limit is where you unlock the top speed of this bike, so it gets shipped to you as a Class 2 bike, but you can make it Class 3, bring that all the way up to 28 miles an hour. And down here you can change it to kilometers an hour or miles an hour, and change the pedal assist level again. And I love this, that straight from the app, you can find dealers if you need to service your bike. Look at that, so they immediately find places around my house that I can service this bike. That is amazing. So again, if you want a bike and you don't want to lift a finger in servicing your bike, adjusting anything on it, replacing any parts if something happens to go wrong, you can easily bring it to one of these service centers and they will take care of everything for you. And down here you can record your ride. That's pretty cool. You can also connect with some other Aventon riders. Very interesting. And you go into your profile as well. And looks like this app can also track your ride. It'll show you the time, riding time, average speed. This is kind of cool. You can track your ride and track all the stats. For an e-bike app, this definitely has a lot more functionality than a lot of other e-bike apps out there. This bike comes with a nice packaged box full of accessories. This is the difference when you buy from a good company versus some Chinese no-name brand. So first you get a bunch of cool looking stickers. Yep, get a nice manual, some information on the bike right here. And then look at this. They give you some extra bike grease for maintaining your e-bike. Spare parts. This is something I have not seen on any other bike I've ever unboxed. Look at this. This is a spare derailleur hanger. These are commonly bent all the time. And even though this bike does come with a derailleur hanger guard, they give you a spare derailleur hanger anyway. Very nice. And you get a couple extra little nuts and bolts here as well. All right, we got a nice looking wrench right here. This is a good wrench. Charger cable. Let's take a look at the charger. Nice looking charger. This does light up. Some more tools. And then some reflectors over here with their mounts that we are not going to be using. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ride experience of the Aventon Adventure 2. Let's keep talking about this bike. So I mentioned earlier in the video that there are 3 main reasons why this bike might be a good option in 2025. Number 1 is due to the fact that there's an increasing amount of regulations for e-bikes. Out in California, some other states, and now in my state of Connecticut, some new bill was proposed that we are actively trying to deal with. I did submit some testimony, and we'll see how it goes. But essentially, a lot of states are trying to quote-unquote crack down on the power levels of your e-bikes. And I know in parts of Europe, they literally have a little mini dyno, a dynometer that they put your bike on to test the power of your e-bike, and then they just impound it. And they're going to be closing the loopholes of higher power e-bikes. So maybe it might be a good idea to at least have one e-bike that's legal. And this one is. It does not go over 28 miles an hour. It's a class 3 e-bike. You can make it a class 2 e-bike, which a lot of trails do allow. And so if you buy this bike, you will have the comfort of knowing that your bike won't get impounded and you could still enjoy this bike for years in the future. And if you do have something super fast, you'll probably just have to register it like a motorcycle. But we'll see, guys. We'll see if that happens. And speaking of years to come, something that I very much so and increasingly so appreciate about American-based e-bike companies is customer service. And it's not just about getting quick communication from sending an email or making a phone call. It's the vast amount of service centers that you can take this bike to get it serviced for whatever reason you want. A lot of these international no-name brand e-bikes that pop up, you'll bring to a bike shop, and bike shops will just refuse to work on them. Why? Because just like you, they are not able to get parts for these bikes. They can't get controllers, they can't get motors, they can't get the parts required to service the bikes. So they just say, sorry, we can't do it. So unless you are good at DIY stuff, you're not going to be able to service your bike if something happens to malfunction on it, which if you're keeping a bike for a long time, will happen eventually. Even if it's a good bike, even if it is the Toyota reliability of bikes, Toyota still has service centers because those cars aren't perfect. So if you want what I call a buy it and forget it bike, you don't want to do any maintenance on your own. You want to just be able to bring a bike to a service center and have them take care of it. And there are a lot of service centers for Aventon. This might be a good option for 2025. I only know of one other brand right now that has a vast array of service centers like Aventon does, and I don't even think they come close to the amount of places that Aventon can be serviced at. And the third reason that this bike might be a good option for you if you want something legal, and you know it's probably going to stay legal for the next few years at least. Number two, you know it's going to last you a few years because it's from an American-based company and there are lots of service centers and you don't have to deal with any kind of servicing yourself. The third reason is the size of this bike. It is a lightweight bike for a fat-tired e-bike, and the seat height is so short on this bike. This is one of the lowest seat height bikes I've ever been on ever. So if you're a shorter rider, this frame is rated for people who are at least 4'11". Look how low the seat is. So if you're a smaller rider, male or female, you will definitely be comfortable on this bike. And of course, it is a step through, so you don't have to really swing your leg over like crazy, which is great if you do use this rear rack. If you have a bag back here, you can easily throw your leg in between the frame and be on your way. A lot of these e-bikes out there are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, more and more powerful. And if you're watching this channel, you've probably seen some of them. But if you're out there on a group ride with a bunch of other e-bikers who aren't really going that fast, maybe 15 to 20 miles an hour on a rail trail, which I've been in a bunch of those group rides before. We're not really going crazy. We're not on the roads. And you don't want a lot of power. It's just extra weight and extra e-bike that you have to haul around. So something like this would be great for that type of situation. I wouldn't recommend this bike if you want to keep up with any slow-moving traffic. This is a strictly a trail and bike lane only bike, in my opinion. And I will have this bike listed in the description below. The prices of these e-bikes are always changing. Sometimes they're on sale. So to get the most up-to-date price, check the link in the description below. And I will also list any available coupon codes or discount codes down there as well. Let me know what you think about this bike. I know it's been around for a while. You guys have probably seen it already online. Do you think this is a good bike to get in 2025? Is this still worth the money? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for today, folks. Until next time.